Passion in a glass. That's what we're gonna paint today. This is a Passionfruit Martini. Some also call it a porn star martini. And its signature for that beautiful yellowish color, the nice foamy froth on top, and as a garnish, it has half a slice of a passion fruit. Let's dive right in. If we look at our reference, we see predominantly yellowish colors. Yellow, slightly orange, so we want to have this warm feel to it. Now, we have a striking black background, which will really make it pop. What we also see is that we have this nice foam cream layer, and we have a little bit of purplish, reddish tones also at the passion fruit, which is used for the garnishing. So, of course, on the palette we'll have black for the background, that's ivory black. I have a touch of carmine, which is a bluish red for that fruit. I have burnt sienna, with which I can make warmth in the yellows. I have yellow ochre and cadmium yellow. And finally I have some white, but I will try to use that as sparingly as possible, mainly for the highlights and also to cool down that foam layer what we see. Let's first start with the biggest mix we need to make, which is for the body of the cocktail. My base there would be yellow ochre, I would say, with some cadmium yellow. Mixing it up good. Actually, this is already a quite spot on color for the lighter part here. So I'll make a nice little pile of that. We're gonna use a similar mixture like that, but create a warmer tone by adding some burnt sienna to it. It's too brownish, so what I'll do, I'll add a touch, just a little bit of that carmine. Makes it more warm. And let's see what happens if we just were to take some of this yellow with some of that carmine. Just see what it does. Gotta get a bit of a feeling for how these pigments behave with each other. This is a very nice warm yellow, and actually I think that would be a very suitable color for about here. I'm also gonna keep that one. And then I also think this one needs to be a bit more light. I'm not getting rid of that one just yet. I think I have some nice basic tones now to get started. These are not my final colors because I'll definitely be mixing more, but this can get me started. And then we have the foam, for which also I will use actually a bit of this color mixture we have here, but then add some white, see what that does. And you get a bit of a creamy color then. And that might be working a bit for those shadows. I'm just going to add a touch of that sienna. Make it a bit more brown red. Holding it next to my reference again. It's too brown. pinch of black, kill it down. More black. It's kind of in the shadows there. And the foam doesn't let as much light through as the drink itself. Oh, that's a start. Not quite just yet, it needs to be darker. Taking more of this, more red, just mixing on that same pile. Adding a touch of yellow. And also a touch of red. Warm it up towards the slightly oranges. That seems decent enough to get started with. Now that cream, we also have a lighter version of that cream. Let me take some more white. Lighter than that. But mind you, it's not going to be a pure white, that cream. Some yellow in there also. More white. It's actually very bright. And if we take some more yellow in there. And white. Yeah, we're getting there, and then there's really, it's nearly a pure white I'm sensing now. Nearly, not quite, because if you look at the highlight on the glass, you see that's the pure white. Now this is the lightest part of that foam. I didn't expect that foam would have so many colors in it, but it does, so we just do what we do. For the fruit, for the passion fruit, also going to mix some colors. Let's put them over here. It's quite dark in those shadows. I think actually here I have a nice base color for the red we see. But we also see the side of it. So as you can see, this is a bit of a reddish purple kind of color. That will do. Now, this is enough for me to get started, and for this one I'm going to start just with a soft brush to just brush in some of those colors. And I will start with the body here, the color which I see most dominantly. Actually, I will start with this shadow color. Need more red, I feel. Adding a touch of red and a touch of sienna. Warming it up. I'm painting not with a lot of paint on my brush. making it very thin. And I'm kind of blending the colors also on the canvas, because this time I'm painting on canvas. Making a bit more of an orange tone. That sketch what I have on there is very simple, huh? It's not much more than a few indications with a white pencil. Just blending this color in here a bit. And, in between, I wipe off my brush just in a plain tissue. Taking a bit of that muted mid-tone. It's a bit too strong still, so I'm blending in some of this color also. Basically, this drink is one big gradient, huh? If you look at it. There's no hard edges or anything like that going on there. But we do want it to be a colorful painting. It's okay to go over these edges a bit, which I first drew in, because they're mere guidelines, and the further you get with the painting, the more easily you will step off of these guidelines. Making a more vibrant tone also here. Blending it in. Here we also have some shadow, basically coming from that foam. So the light is hitting it from this angle, and it cannot get through that foam. So there's a bit of a shadow play going on. Let's continue with our foam. And what I really like about this foam is this little bubble in there. I like these little imperfections in the daily objects we see around us. And that gives it extra life, I feel. And I'm looking forward to paint that bubble. So now we're just blocking in these colors. You see also that the foam actually is slightly bluish in some parts, so it's a good one to remember for later on. And that bluish vibe, even though I don't have blue under, I can get with adding some of that black to our mixes. Now for that later on I'll need a smaller brush. Slightly lighter here. I'm just rubbing out this paint. Very thin layer. Can always go more thick if we want. The underground is actually a mixture of burnt sienna with burnt umber with some white gesso. I think that's a nice neutral base to paint on. That you clearly see the colors you're working with and how they correspond to each other. a very fine frothy layer on there. And this cocktail, it's called a porn star martini. And that foam, that frothiness comes from egg white, which they add to it. Let's try to get some of those edges of that fruit in there also. Now normally, when you're being served this cocktail, they will serve it to you with the fruit just laying flat on there. Hey, then we wouldn't be seeing the inside. And that would have been a pity. So I used toothpicks to kind of fix it and hang it on the edge of the glass. So you can have a look on the inside of the fruit. You know, sometimes you need to get creative to achieve what you want. Yeah, for there I need a smaller brush later on. Now we're just focusing on these bigger shapes. Getting the initial thought down. Now, further detailing on that part I will do later. But what I think is important at this stage is to get a clearer picture of the overall painting. I need to add some of the background color. In this case, it's pure black. I think before I continue with that line, I'm going to work a bit more on the bottom part here. That will give me a new anchor point from which I can further determine my approach for these edges. And we see there a bit of this darker, more red, yellow. You see here like this cocktail is reflecting in the glass all sorts of ways. And it all comes down together there. Later on I will put in the details of the glass itself and the grays, which we see, but not for now. Now I'm just keen on getting these shapes correct. And that means indeed here we need more yellow, or not really yellow, but this color. Just looking at the overall shapes, and I think we're getting in the right direction there. Just want to close this off as well. And I'm going to put a bit more black already around the subject. I want to do some more work in this part. And let's start with that fruit because it's behind the glass. And we have also here colors we can use for that. So let's start a bit with this more neutral color. Oh, with actually more of that red color first on the outer skirts of the fruit. Actually, this can go a bit more high up, I feel. Softening that edge also. Don't need focus on that edge. And I'm just going over that initial sketched line here, thinly. Because the painting, or the glass, we will paint later on over this. I think this might be a nice base color for the inside. It's just a bit sculpting until I get the right feeling for it. It's not an exact science, you know. It's often the feeling you get. And the feeling needs to be right, and then you're on track. Actually, this color here, that might be also useful for these seeds which we see. And those don't need to be exact copies of what we see. It can be a bit random. You know, it's nature at its finest. Taking some black for the background what we see here. But also what's very dominantly there is that line on that glass. But I don't want to do a pure black there. I'm just mixing it a bit with this. I'm going very gently. Here I'm leaving it a bit open because you have that light reflecting. And then you have a bit of a color in between all that. I would say this might be a nice color for there. Wait, first a darker one. And then later on we can put that lighter one in the middle. And you see, because I paint very thinly, you can easily go over it again. Now I'm taking this one. Again, just a little bit gets you very far already. Don't want it to be too dominating, that edge. But we just want to create that distorted feeling of glass, that edge. Subtle, but it's there. Then we'll need a bit darker color for the foam, what we see there in the background. So I'm taking this one again. And I might even go darker than this later on to create more contrast. A little bit of black. It's in the distance, right? And then we see the black background through there. Don't be afraid to simplify what you see also. Same thing on this side. You have some foam near that edge. Taking this one again. Let's see what we can do with this bubble. First taking a bit of this darker color. Starting with the inside. And we can always go darker, huh? It's actually bigger than that bubble. We want to have some focus on it. I love that bubble. And then you have this lighter part on the inside. And this is by no means light enough just yet, but we're sculpting. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Take your time. Now the fruit itself, it has quite some powerful orange tints in there also. I'm gonna block in a bit. Make some variations. And I'm not painting these seeds in detail. Just want to get the overall vibe of a passion fruit. Just trying to make that foam a bit foamy, right? It's a quite sharp edge. Not taking my brightest white. The one just besides that. And dappling it. And immediately add some texture to it. Now here's a lot lighter, of course, so yeah, we're gonna go for the lighter version. I like this play of light. I need more background color. Time to go back to my smaller brush. I keep this free so I can rest my my fingers on it if I need some more stability. Now let's do something about this area now. Well, we have black and we have some white and also a touch of ochre and burnt sienna, just a little bit, just to get a little bit of pigment in there other than black and white. Rubbing it out thinly. You can always go darker, but by doing thinly again, we keep some liberty on our side for further tweaking later on. I want to have this blend a bit with the background, making it extra dark down there. It's kind of like it appears from darkness. Well, that sounds very very grim, but you know what I mean. I hope. We have some of that reflecting glass going on there in the bottom. Continue with my bubble here. Can be darker. Around here. Also dappling again. And here. Now here we have this very bright stripe of, well, I would say orange. I'm gonna take some of this yellow, touch of carmine, want it to be nice and bright. Actually nice also for there. If we can what it does when we put it on here. Yeah, we might need a bit more of that mixture if we were gonna do that. I do like the intensity of it. For that I'm actually going to take a clean brush because I already have a lot of black on my other brush. making this edge softer. Just by gently brushing over that tiny bit of pigment. Adding some yellow, cadmium yellow in the brightest part. Also here going over that edge to soften it. I think it's time to spend some more time on the fruit. Just making a bit of a brownish, muted gray for these seeds. And again, no exact copy of what I see. I think this color might come in handy here as well. And this one also, which is a bit darker. Just some variations in tones. The only purpose here is to give the impression that this might be a piece of passion fruit laying in there. Play with those shadows. Some more of that intense red. Here and there you see these little dots of red. And here I'm putting on this purplish tone thickly now. Not everywhere. Just where it needs it. And that way, if you don't fully fill it, you'll still see the lighter, more rubbed out version of it. Which is reflecting light. Let me just put some more black here, because we're also kind of reshaping the fruit. So here the edge of the glass is kind of totally abolished. You look through it, there's nothing there. Yeah, I also want to have a bit more that see-through effect. I'm just adding more of the background color in. Same here. See if we can make a nice neat circle or bubble here. I think a touch of black also, creating that extra depth. Oh, I love that. Just following some of these shapes. We also have lighter areas on the fruit. Need more darks. And this is actually basically now the same color as I used for that peel. Add a touch of ochre. A bit more greenish vibes. Can be a bit more dark. Embellishing a bit that shadow of the foam. Little I do. Create a darker variation on this one too. So there we go again. Brilliant. Now, we have all that black on there and you can really see how it pops now. We're getting near the end of this painting, but I'm switching to a very small brush right now because I want to do some more detailing here, and it's simply not really possible with that other brush which I have been using up till now. Just the detailing of these reflections in the glass. And then when I want to blend in some color, I can do that with this one easily again. I think some of this color to add sense of reflection of the cocktail, because there's a bit of the cocktail colors in there. I think we also need some lighter areas here still, so let's double on some more of that foam. Frequently reloading that brush. Here, let's put a bit. Not too much. Just a bit. This is that very small brush, yeah? Which I have now. Still feel that we need to go darker over there. See what that does. Setting some bubbles in that foam here and there. That all adds to the realism. Some more of these reds. Some pure carmine now. Just a little bit here and there. Refining the edge again. More dark here. Some more play of light down here in the foot. Some reflected light on that foot as well. Don't want to overdo it. And then we're going to add also some more definition on these here. I still feel it's not having as much depth as I want it to. Let's go a bit darker again. And as I said before, I'm not gonna do it very detailed, but I do want to have some more sense of depth. And that we achieve just by playing around with shadows and light. Adding some various tones. And of course, what the seeds are missing is the shine. So let's do that. I'm not going to overdo it. I'm following the shapes a bit. Adding again a bit more shadow. Here and there. To create some more depth. Just a tad more red here for that oomph. And then also here we have that shine on the glass. But first, let me see if I can add some subtle shine here and there on the glass already. So you also see it. Just dappling it, and then softening it. Don't want it to be too dominant there. Go to my other brush, this one again, to do the light part there. Still not working with pure white here, huh? That's cleaning my brush in between because it might pick up some of that background color. Now I'm going for the pure white. Need to take it on quite thickly. And here the same. But with highlights, always be careful to not overdo it. Because it can easily be too much. Can have some more fresh tones on the fruit, I would say. Not really happy with the foot yet, this part. I'm gonna add some more darks over here. Yeah, maybe you can add some more yellow here as well. Just to add that touch of color to it. And I see on the reference I made, I also see a little drop on the outside here. Are we gonna add that, or is it gonna be too much? Well, let's just see what happens. Just very minimal. Bit of shadow. A bit of highlight. And I think that's too much. So just blend it in. You know, that's the thing when you're painting. You need to know when to stop, when you're happy, when you're satisfied enough, before you really start overworking your piece. Just one tiny thing I might do with this very small brush. And this is how far I'm gonna take this picture. All that remains is to sign it, and I like to do that easy with a toothstick. Thanks for watching, and of course, a like and subscribe would be highly appreciated. Should you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Thanks, and happy painting!